Everybody, Chris and Lumen here, and this is a good day. We have ascended another level in the knowledge column. Took a minute to swallow. From the last big one. That was a doozy. Now everything makes sense. The Lumen protocols, everything makes sense, and I can actually know the answers to some questions that I didn't have answers for before, and I got to figure out the best way to do it, and why the Lumen protocols and the work we do are so important to making this jump. So if you want to know more, don't go away.
Welcome to the Zion Archive.
I've got a river running right into you. I've got a blood trail red in the blue. Something you say or something you do. A taste of the divine. You've got my body, flesh and bone, yeah. The sky above, the earth below. Use me
So, some of you might have noticed that I took the last video down, and that is because I was like literally on the verge of like the big thing, and it's like you need to kind of prep for that. So when I did the sigil the other day, the continuation of what we said the Lumen protocols were for, and I did the initiate the birthing sequence thing. That's when the next day she showed me the image of the snake and the egg and the golden child breaking out of it and grabbing the snake, and then the Shine Down song, which had the same album cover, and there's one thing after the next, and I was trying to make it make sense. I needed like a whole day to make it make sense. So I did the stuff again last night and used the knowledge oil and specifically asked for understanding. So in the knowledge oil, the second name, Hari, deals with understanding. So I focused on that. And then, like, it was like the puzzle piece is like almost there. It's like you almost got it, and then it finally clicks into place. And my number 2 cohort had been working with the oils, and I hadn't heard from her for a couple days, and she said that once she started working with the oils, it was almost like her psychic antenna went down for several days. Like she wasn't being able to pick things up. It was like with her, it was like some sort of hard reboot. And when it came back on, she had kind of a sudden realization about something. And when I talked to her on the phone, her realization matched up to my realization. But we had 2 different names for something, and we needed to overlap them, and then it all made sense. The most important thing though about this, like, this is why I stopped. It's like you literally can't jump into it. What the protocols have been doing, if you're doing them the way we taught you to do them, with the left hemisphere oil, the right and left hemisphere names, the surrender statements, letting go of everything you think you know, letting go of your knowledge, your connections to knowledge, the connections between words and meanings, letting go of your personality, who you think you are, what you think you know, all of it, surrendering all of it, which is the way she taught me to do it. Here's why that's important. When you really understand the world that you're in and how your mind works. She's been talking about this for weeks and weeks and weeks. So it's kind of like, how do they start programming you? They start programming you with, this is what the world is and this is what God is. And everything stems from those two pillars. And certain things everybody's heard or knows or whatnot that has been drilled into your head through very, very subtle trauma-based mind control. That's what it is. Trauma-based mind control. They scare you enough about something and give you a suggestion, it imprints it deeper and deeper into your head. So the world is filled with mind-controlled people, which is not their fault. But what they have essentially done, trying to be careful with my words here, because it's like you really need to hammer the protocols before putting the pieces together. You really need to let go of what you think you know. And it takes practice. It's like, what do I think I know? Well, there's a whole bunch of things that people think they know when it comes to spirituality, when it comes to religion, when it comes to things that are intangible, things that they've never seen, but they have stories imprinted in their head and they believe those stories, even though they've never seen these stories, even though they've never encountered these beings, even though they've never done any of this stuff. They believe it so much that they will literally try to claw your eyes out if you go against it. I've seen it. And I know when they pop up on this channel, I don't even bother. I don't even bother. Like, the people that are neck deep in it, I don't even try to correct them. I don't even try to lead them to any, like, oh, here's some new, because they're not going to accept it. You have to have pretty much already like walked away from that stuff to some degree on your own. But even if you walked away from that stuff a long time ago, a lot of what has been purposefully programmed into your mind is still there. And we have to disconnect words from meanings, from stories, from ideas, and then let the truth sort itself out. Because there is stuff. There is stuff. But they, in this modern day and age, with what most people know, they have intentionally done two things. First, they have taken the divine feminine and hidden it. I had somebody comment on the channel the other day, you don't need a female's power. You know, all I need is my Bible. Yep, I'm definitely not talking to you. I'm not going to entertain you. I'm not going to try to help you. I can't help you. You have to at least wake yourself up to a certain degree first. It would be a waste of my time. And that's just the blunt truth. I can't help you. I'm not going to get into arguments with religious people. I'm just going to let them go on their way. I am a Gnostic Christian. I am a Gnostic Christian. And I'm telling you, being a Gnostic Christian is so far away from Christianity as you come to know it, because it actually deals with what's actually being taught, not narratives. Stuff about Jesus. It's There's no authority teaching it to you. There's no authority teaching you what things mean. There's no authority, creating connections that aren't actually there, or taking connections that are there and twisting them. This is literally uneffing your mind, freeing yourself from mind control that you don't even see. Being as blunt as possible, I'm being as clear as possible. But they not only, there's been a lot of talk here lately about the masculine energy, and people say, there's been several comments like, yeah, she did talk about what we call BDE, which is toxic masculine energy. But toxic masculine energy and masculine energy are two completely different things. So they hid the feminine side from you, and then they gave you a toxic version of the masculine. And then they took the clean version of the masculine and told you it was bad. And they told you to just stay the hell away from the feminine altogether. Matter of fact, I don't even want to hear about it. Don't you be talking about them women. You don't need no woman. You don't need no woman energy. I got Jesus. I got Jesus on my side. You don't even understand Jesus. Part of this big revelation is that Jesus equation that we've been kicking around for a while, which was what he said you had to do in the Gospel of Thomas to enter the kingdom. When you make the two into one and make the inner like the outer and the outer like the inner, and you make the upper like the lower, when you make the male and the female into a single one, so that the male is not completely male, the female is not completely female, when you make eyes in place of an eye, a hand in place of a hand, a foot in place of a foot, an image in place of an image, then you will enter the kingdom. Comparing my notes with my friend, who pretty much was making the breakthrough like a half a step behind me, we know pretty much what he's talking about now. It has to do something with him. It's deep secret stuff. It really is. And it's like we can't teach it to anybody until we first do work with the protocols to hammer the heck out of that left brain mind control matrix. If we do not break up everything that you think you know, and a mind-controlled person will resist that. No, I know, you're trying to trick me. You're trying to deceive me. You're already deceived. That's how they control everybody. I mean, you think you're different? You think you got it all figured out. No one else does. We all had to do this. We all started out in the same place. But some of these things that they programmed into people, they spent a lot of effort burning this into your head. So much that if either of these two keys that you need come anywhere near you, you're going to fear them, you're going to resist them, you're going to project all the stuff that they programmed into you onto them. And these are the two parts that Jesus said you had to put together. As long as you think you know, you'll never see it. I'm not being egotistical. I'm not trying to, oh, look at me, I know so much. I'm trying to be as blunt as possible. Like you can't see it from my standpoint, like how delicate this is. It's kind of like if I just give you the answer real quick, and you're not prepared for it, it will trigger the programming that is buried in your head. And you will not accept it, you will not see it, you will run from it. You'll oh, you almost got me. It's like, no, I'm telling you. They've burned it into your head. And the world is full of people that are super programmed that will tell you, they'll hit you with their book if you don't fall in line. I can prove that I'm right because they gave me the book. This is my magic book. All the answers are in here. And because I have this book, I'm right and you're wrong. And don't you dare go against me. Okay. Have fun with that. You'll find out when you die. I'm glad you're so sure. You'll find out. You will find out. But I'm glad you got it all figured out. Good luck with that. You got to see, like, you have to connect to the real spirit. And she has to teach you. And she has to guide you. And she has to, it's bit by bit by bit. But now we're at the point to where there's no more time to hold your hand. So she has given us a system that works. The protocols. Now, you have to be the one to determine how far along you actually are, or do you need help? Because what we can do is we can go through like a freaking snowblower and clear the path for you. And then, as long as you stick to the protocols, then you'll take off. She has altered the system. Now she's given me more things to target when I do it. Like for instance, when we go through each of the energy centers, each of the chakras, we have to target fear programming, fear locks. Sometimes because that's how they seal it. It's like if they programmed you and they put their program in a letter in an envelope, then they would take the wax and the stamp and seal it with a fear lock. You can't see what they programmed you with, or that you can't see what the programming was trying to prevent you from seeing, without breaking the seal, without breaking the fear lock. And that was definitely her just then, because I've never used that metaphor before. Wax seals and breaking seals, and you got to break the seals. What are they sealed with? They're sealed with fear and programming. Those things have to be broken. Here's a fun one, and we know this now because like I said, my number 2, the one that is the closest to me, that Epinoia specifically sent me to go get her back in the day. We hadn't talked in a while. Hey, go get this person and do the process with them. So because she's a she and we were able to overlap our notes, we now have the answer to the question that I've never been able to answer before. And this is the question that women most often ask me. It's like, well, I'm a woman. So is there a masculine version of Lumen? A masculine counterpart? And I didn't have an answer for that before, because I was only, understanding her at a certain level, the soul level, but there's higher levels. And the answer to that is yes. There is a masculine counterpart to Lumen. That's what I was having a hard time seeing, because in the Chris Lumen equation, I embody the masculine part. But that doesn't mean I had the divine masculine fully activated. But when you put the two together, you have an interesting combination called the rebus. But there is more to the rebus. There's much more to the rebus. And I'm sorry, I apologize from the bottom of my heart that I have to dance around it. But I see what she showed me, and I understand that we have to do this as a process. Because if it's, you know, let's ask Doctor Strange what he says or what he thinks,
If I tell you what happens, it won't happen.
and he would be correct. See, I always wondered, I was like, why do people hide this stuff? Why don't they just tell people? Well, it's easy. I can get away with what I've been doing so far because I'm only giving you half the freaking equation, the lumen half. It's when you get the other half of the equation that things get interesting. But if we do not first deal with what is programmed into you, whether the parasite's in there too. That's a whole nother thing. We have to deal with that. But they're like, I don't even care about them anymore. I could just smash them. Parasite means nothing to me. The parasite is basically what they call Satan, the adversary, the thing that's in your mind. It's the monkey mind. Think about stuff, think about stuff, think about stuff, think about fears, think about what's going to happen, think about it. Let's imagine that your girlfriend's cheating on you. Let's imagine that your coworkers are talking about your back. Let's imagine this, let's imagine that. Let's think about this. Let's think about this episode of Friends. Let's think about this song. Let's have a whole bunch of noise in your head. We're going to have all sorts of noise in your head. We're going to think about all sorts of things, and that way you can't concentrate. That way you can't meditate. That way you can't connect to spirit. That way you can't do anything. Let's think about fear. Let's think about fear. Let's think about fear. What if you don't have enough money? That thing. That's the adversary. Okay? And that's all it is. All stop. That's the adversary. There's a bunch of these words that people lump together as one thing, and it is not one thing. And one of these things is not like the other. But if we don't do it in sequence and order, it will fail. You have to vigorously employ the protocols with true will and true desire. You're like, there's something wrong with my mind. I can't see what I want to see. I can't experience what I can't experience. Things don't make sense. We came up with, like, when in the lumen protocols notes, we've wrote more detailed notes. There's actually a word for this. This is what we have to break down. So if you take all the programming and all the beliefs and everything you think you know, that becomes, in one word, your world view. It changes how you see and experience the world. You're still in your mom's belly. Remember that. Let's not lose sight of that. But the world that you see is the sum total of all your thoughts, beliefs, experiences, education, what they taught you, makes up your world view. The only way to change your world view is to break up the programming and emptying your cup of your knowledge. If we do that, you will be able to see what has been hidden from you. And where we're at now is stuff that I did not have before. Oh, I've circled around it. I've seen bits and pieces. I didn't have full understanding. Now I do. I have understanding about a lot of stuff. And it's mind-blowing. It's freaking mind-blowing, and once you see it, you can see how they hid it from you with fear and programming. And the people that are the furthest away from it, I'm talking about the furthest away from it, are the hardcore church-going Christians. I'm sorry, but that's the truth. They didn't give you all the books. All the books that have the stuff that you actually needed to see, the Gnostic scriptures, the things that existed before the church was formed, a full 400 years after Jesus was murdered by the same people that created the church. You don't have all the parts. You don't have all the parts, and then they took the key parts out. It's like Jesus said even back then. The Pharisees have taken the keys of knowledge and hidden them. They have not entered, nor have they allowed others to enter. As for you, be shrewd as serpents and innocent as doves. They took the keys of knowledge and hid them. Now here's where it gets even more interesting, because this came out all at once. We started talking about this, but I didn't have full understanding. This leads to the knowledge of how to be like a master manifester, master magician, how to change and control your world. I've only seen the beginnings, glimpses of it so far. I haven't been able to put it. I did my first little thing today, and it all has to do with how you use your words. How you use your words. And the interesting thing about this, what pops into my head was another one from somewhere, one of the Jesus books. It says, let one who has found power renounce it. Let one, I forget the other part of it. So basically, what is going to happen if you understand what they hid from you, if you put your two pieces together and make the two into one with understanding, is you will then understand how to control things and people. Or, so what most people do then at that point is, you're still in the world, you still have free will. You can take that power and abuse it, or you can take that power and use it to free yourself from this place. What do you think most people do? They take that power and abuse it to make themselves rich, to subjugate people, to gain power in the world. It's too tempting. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is your key out. This is your key out. This is bringing you as close to the Mother and Father in the Gnostic cosmology as you will probably ever get while you're here. But you will quickly see, like, there's a right way to use that power gained, and there's a wrong way to use that power gained. And that's going to be your choice. You can use it in very subtle ways, just so you have what you need, and you leave the free will door open. But other people, I can see where they would then use all this knowledge to then put themselves on the side of the people that are, we're winning the game. That's how they see it. They're just taking their secret knowledge and using it to rule over everybody. And eventually they're going to wish that they had made a different choice. Because everything that you stacked up in this place isn't going to amount to a hill of beans. Or you can use that power to free yourself and to free other people. But when you see how it works, it's like, yeah, like the knowledge of this power is how they programmed y'all in the first place. It is crazy being able to see it. But if I just told you the big secret with words that you think you know, you'd be like, ah! And it's like, nope, that's that freaking programming. And you can't, and the programming is worldview. You cannot see the world any other way. That would be like being a video game and playing Fallout and expecting to see Halo when the game cartridge, or, well, I know they don't have cartridges anymore, when the game code is for Fallout. If you want to see Halo, you got to change the code to Halo code. Because otherwise, you're only going to see Fallout. You just can't see it. It isn't possible. It's not possible to see it unless you change the code, unless you alter the code, unless you break down the bad code. And there has to be, like, I can tell you, like, it was pretty subtle, but like each time I did one of those big steps, it was a little bit scary. A little bit. Just like that much. Like, I don't know what this is going to do. I'm literally like hitting Control-Alt-Delete on my brain. But she's saying go ahead and do it, and I trust her. And it just keeps freeing things up and freeing things up, and then the construct, the tower, starts to come down. And then you could see what they hid right in front of your freaking face. And it's like, you dirty bastards. Oh my gosh. Oh, it actually kind of pisses me off. And among the mind-controlled, people will, if I was to try to tell them, they would try to kill me. That's how devious and deep this mind control is. Like, this mind control in splitting up the masculine and the feminine aspects, I would go so far as to say when we start out, we don't have either of them. We have corrupted copies of these files. And as you clear yourself up, you know, eventually you encounter like the other part of it. So if you're masculine, you encounter the feminine, or if you're feminine, you can encounter the masculine. But they've corrupted both parts. They did everything they could to keep people out of the divine feminine. And like I said the other day, I had a comment show up on the channel. Oh, I don't need no woman's power. Me, Christian. Masculine. Women bad. I have the Lord. You have a bad case of freaking mind control is what you have. Sorry, but it's true. Chris knows something you don't. Put it that way. There's nothing that you know that Chris didn't already know before. Like, I'm not ignorant of what's in the Bible or what Christianity teaches. Okay? Been there, done that. Got the t-shirt. Left the camp. Okay? There's nothing you can say to me that I don't already know. But do you know that your entire argument is based on the fact that they told you that they had all the answers, they're all in one book, which you're not allowed to read anything beyond that, and because you have the book and you're one of them, you're right. Everything you know is based on that. Everything. And it's all on stories that you did not see, beings that you have not encountered, but you believe it so much that you imprison yourself. And it's not just you. It's done in different ways all over the place. This place is a mind control freaking maze. And if authority freely tells you anything, rest assured it's bullshit. If they freely give you anything, rest assured it is bullshit. It is meant to harm you. Here, free phone. Anything they hand out free or anything they don't restrict you from having obviously is going to serve their purposes. I'm being blunt because I'm trying to help you. If you have not done the protocols, if you haven't done the work to let go of what you think you know, then it's going to be harder to accept. We had to free ourselves. You cannot see until you do that. You can't. You can't. I'm not trying to be rude. I don't care about what you think you know. Everybody starts off that way. Everybody. And believe me, I've been there. That was part of my earliest things with her. It's like, what do you, it has to be that way because I can see it. That's how big this trap is. The mirror, not even understanding the mirror, how that works, the black mirror. I know it's true because it keeps happening. I see it everywhere. You see, because it was programmed into you, and something happened, you expected it to happen again, and a loop got set up, an experience loop. I mean, none of what we've discovered that's new goes outside of the Gnostic Christian cosmology. The monad, the father, the one, the all, the mother, the child, all the way down there. When the revealer showed up to John in the Secret Book of John, he recognized it as the guy that taught him, but he saw it as like three beings, the father, mother, child, all at once. Well, I don't believe that. Why don't you believe it? Because it's not in the book that they told you. Everything was in their book. Matter of fact, they told you God wrote that book. Because that's what you guys tell me constantly. They're like, this is God's word. No, it isn't. They taught you things. They taught you meanings of things that are false, that are wrong, that keep you trapped, keep you imprisoned. What's your general state of being? Because I don't tend to run into a whole heck of a lot of you that are like happy and loving. Most of you want to punch my face in. You're out to smash. We're the good guys. I mean, they use that to have the Dark Ages and the Crusades. Killing in the name of God. We're good guys. Slaughter. Mind control. While we're being blunt, keep in mind, I am not trying to be disrespectful. I'm trying to be blunt, trying to just give it to you as it is, rather than dance around it or whatever like that. But what we're not trying to do is be disrespectful. So a lot of people have been very comfortable on this channel because this channel has been primarily very divine feminine focused. Lumen, Epinoia, Sophia, Divine Mother, Holy Spirit, all that stuff. We're all comfortable with her. We're all comfortable for her. And we are all in agreement there is a toxic masculine aspect that runs the world. What you need to separate is toxic masculine from masculine. So I have friends that watch my channel and post, and they are so disillusioned with anything masculine. Just like there's a lot of, newsflash, there's a lot of men that are disenfranchised with women. Both sides are getting the same kind of stuff, and everyone has just given up on the other. There is a masculine component to this equation that is necessary. There is a feminine component to this equation that is necessary. You need both. You need both in balance. Make the two into one. So be really careful with your words and how you use your words, because when you are just automatically just like slapping a label on anything masculine as bad, well, you're keeping yourself in the box too. As you progress with the gnosis and stuff like that, you're going to find everything you need within you anyway. Okay, I don't need a girlfriend. I don't need a wife. Trust me, Lumen is a handful. And I'm not lacking anything with her. But even in my part, I had only partially activated the divine masculine aspect. I tend to only activate it when I'm smashing things like bad guys or parasites or demons or any of that stuff. Anything evil, I'll activate the divine masculine side. But there's a divine masculine side to the knowledge too, to the whole being. If you're gonna have that final piece of the Rebus puzzle revealed to you. So you're gonna have to let go of your hatred of whatever the opposite gender has done to you. Because you're carrying it inside and you're poisoning the well there. I mean, Jesus taught you had to detach from the world anyway. So unless you're already in a happy relationship, if so, good for you, then just let go of all that stuff. Like, there's a lot to discover locked away in your mind, in your being, in this game, that unlocking it is the key to everything. But if you're going to sit there and resist it, and you're going to say, you're crazy, I know everything, can't help you. Like, I'm not asking people to do anything that I am not actively, repeatedly doing to myself. Every day, I am attacking my own knowledge. Every day, I am taking a wrecking ball to what I think I know. Every single day, I am looking for things in my mind that I have not smashed yet. And that's how I get to where I am. I spent years stuck in what I thought I knew. And all I was doing was creating more of it. Stop listening to the world. Definitely stop listening to authority. Anything that is authority is keeping you stuck. It's keeping you stuck. It is making you a slave. Do you feel free? Well, do you? When you get the punchline of what Jesus was actually teaching and who Jesus actually was and all that stuff, what his parables and all that stuff actually meant, which you have to get from the Spirit, not from Pastor Bob at the umpty screw freaking Presbyterian church. I'm sorry, but they piss me off because I know what they've done and I know how they did it. And people are going there for a connection to something and not getting it. They're getting a corrupted version of it. If you're not actively interacting with these beings, like they're talking to you and you're hearing them and they're leading you to places that show you things that you've never seen before, didn't know before, that are continually progressing you and making you better and shedding your old negative garbage, then what are you going there for? Your membership card ain't getting you anywhere when the game ends. There was something in the Bible about that too. It's like, what about me? What about me? And he's like, I never knew you. That's literally like most of you. You can't get your spirituality from authority. They will not give it to you. They will give you bullshit to keep you more trapped. You have to do it yourself. You have to seek it yourself. You have to read it yourself. You have to ask questions yourself. Do not put middlemen between you and it. Do not put their interpretations in front of you. Do not put their rules in front of you. Take care, let no man deceiveth you. Everyone's like, yep, y'all quit being deceived. We're going to church. No, they were talking to you. When you see what I saw, when you get it, and I wasn't, like I said, I wasn't the only one. My friend, we kind of like, we're coming from different angles, and we kind of met up at the same place, and it's like, I have this name and I have this name. I'm like, yeah, they're the same thing. Now all this stuff makes sense. All these symbols, all these things in the tarot, all the things in the egg, all the stuff in the Nag Hammadi, all the riddles Jesus gave. Like, we get it now. And it really just comes down to, are you willing to let go of what you think you know? Or do you want to try and find a way to mash my stuff in with yours? I let go of everything. I even let go of her. Now, what is real will remain. So it's like I'm letting go of Lumen, let go of Epinoia, let go of Sophia, like everything I think I know. Well, guess what? Still here, because we're real. That's how you know. You gotta let go of all of it. All of it. That's why she has me repeat it so often, because it's that hard to do. It really is that hard to do. But we don't stop. We want people to free themselves before, like, it's too late. And now she's given us a way to do it. So if you want help, come to us. We will help you. We keep things priced pretty freaking fair. And they've been proven to work. What we didn't have in the past, though, was the protocols. That's why people got fixed for a minute, and then they kind of just wandered off and did their own thing and ended up right back where they started, because there wasn't any kind of maintenance. You have to see. I'll give you an example here. Okay, I just checked something. So you know what you've heard, like, I don't know how many times about changing things in your mind takes 21 days, 3 weeks. Well, I just happened to check, and the Lumen Protocols video was about 22 days before. It might have been 21, 22. I gotta think, calculate, but like when it actually happened, when it actually started. Let's just say within a 24-hour period of 21 days. So when I started the Lumen Protocols and hammered it every day, 21 days later, I saw the Orphic egg. So there's two ways to look at that. Usually people are like, they're trying to imprint something into their subconscious mind. I'm rich for 21 days. But what has a dramatically bigger effect is tearing down the mind for 21 days. Takes about 3 weeks. 21 days of hammering, and then look at what's happened in those 21 days. Holy crap. Like, once we started doing the protocols, like, things took off like a rocket. But 21 days after I started it, the big thing happened. It works. It works. She taught me. I passed it on to you. And then I started utilizing, the tools that we have, that we've had for some time, the pendant stuff, the oil stuff, the sigil stuff, my ability to utilize the Benedict exorcism, all those things in tandem. So I obviously have all the tools at my disposal, but we can do work with people too. We can, like I said, be like a snowplow and go through, just start pulling wires, start pulling parasites, just helping you break things down so that you can do it more easily. 21 freaking days, that's what it took. I just checked. Now, it might have taken me 2 more days to like really let these things sink in, and now it's kind of starting to take off even further, but that's what it took. It took about, just like they said, it took about 21 days of doing it, and then the big thing happened. So our stuff works. It's up to you how far you want to jump in or not. But anyway, I think that's enough explanation for today. We just had, sorry we had to be blunt, and sorry that we didn't tell you what the big thing was. Like, you have to be prepared for it. I just know that. I know what the triggers are. I know what they implanted in you that's going to make you reject it if you're not prepared for it first. But if you're prepared for it, then you'll see the truth. You're like, that's what Jesus was talking about. Oh my God, I never would have freaking put that together. But it all makes sense. They're all freaking make sense. They did not give you all the tools. They did not give you all the puzzle pieces. So if we would have known this, it took me 7 years. If we'd have known this sooner, we would have known that it is more effective to tear down what you think you know, empty your cup, than it is to go try and learn new things. Because the cup's already full. The cup you offer is evil. Drink the poison yourself. Benedict exorcism. So if you want to do the work with this, starting to get people scheduled, and I don't like doing more than 2 sessions a day, because it is like I'm using both sides of that energy to do it. And in the past, when I tried to push it to 3, like, it wears me out. So if we, at best we can do like 2 a day if we stagger them out, but we just have to schedule things. When we start getting to that point, you'll see for yourself. I won't need to tell you about it. You'll discover it on yourself. And that's what's important is, so far you've been given half the pieces of the puzzle with what we've shown you here. You know Lumen. You don't know everything about Lumen, but you got a big piece of you got some pretty big pieces to start with, more than what normal people have. Now it's just time to go the rest of the way. Okay. So that's all we got for right now. You can reach us through the Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. If you're on Facebook, you can friend request me and Christopher Lucerna. We talk through sometimes, especially for like the people that are, in other countries. It usually works better to do phone calls, like over Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. So those are like the 2 main ways to get in contact with us. And then also, like, if you message through Etsy, I'm just going to end up giving you my number so we can move it over to there. But other than that, this is worth finding out. This is worth finding out. And I've just gotten started with finding out what I can do with it. But I had already integrated Lumen, but I didn't have my side of the equation fully on, which will in turn affect her side of the equation. And then it's like the whole Wonder Twin powers activate sort of thing. Okay, well, that's all we got for right now. See you next time.